Now we have Alfred Wallon today, and we're going to be discussing his newly success in the Western genre. Hey, Alfred, how are you?
How can you hear me?
Of course, yes, I can hear you.
Yes, okay. I'm fine, thank you.
So what are the new successful authors that we have at DSP?
Yes, I'm happy about that because I'm no American, I'm a German, and success with Western novels in the homeland of the Western America is for me something special.
That's good, that's good. How long have you been an author?
Well, I started to write since I was a teenager, but my first publication came out in 1981, which is now 44 years ago. And I'm writing differently compared to when I started, but I always wanted to write. It was a feeling and a wish and a dream which accompanied me from my early childhood until today.
Oh, that's great, that's great. So I guess that makes you feeling more excited that your new books that came out is being well received with the public.
Yes, yes, that's definitely a very good feeling because I've always wanted to publish in the USA. I'm now 1 year with DSP, which is not so long, but having success after such a short time gives me a good feeling, and I feel pleased that I have this chance with DSP.
Mm. So what sort of struggle do you have when writing an English novel?
No struggle at all. I just write my novels in German first, and then I'm translating them. And then after that, the book is edited, is polished up, and everything is okay. There are no struggles while writing. I already have the whole complete story in my mind, so I just
Mm.
have to write them down.
Is there some sort of mistake that happens from time to time from the translation?
Sometimes, but we have Todd Barcelow, who is an expert of his own, and he does everything that the book is good. And I've always seen his edits before it gets into publication, and he does a real splendid job.
So tell us about your new books that came out. Kennedy, U.S. Marshal? Tell us about it.
It was a completely new series. Before I started with Kennedy, I wrote three novels in the Timber U.S. Marshal series with Robert Hanlon, and then Nick Whale asked me if I could create something new, and then we created the figure Jim Kennedy, who is a U.S. Marshal who is also working for Governor Fullerton, like Timber does. And Jim Kennedy has a background. His parents were killed during an Indian raid, and he avenged their death till he found the guilty ones. And then he heard that the governor was looking for new marshals, and he came there, and so he joined the team. And then from then on, he has his own adventures, and I created, let's say, a criminal organization or a syndicate, which is called El Paso Ring, and they are controlling everything in the West Texas region. And Kennedy finds out who they are, and now he is hunted by them. But let's see what happens. If he will win at the end, I'm sure, but I won't tell you how he will win.
There's gonna be a continuation of this book, as I see there's only
Yes,
been
yes,
two out in the moment.
yeah. Two out. I'm writing the third one at the moment, and I always at the end say, "Wait till it's be continued." So sometimes there is a cliffhanger, but the people are very satisfied with that because it's not
Yeah.
the usual structure of a storyline. I thought this criminal organization can accompany Kennedy for quite some books, so there's still enough to write, I guess.
Do you have some new stuff going on, like other stories than besides Kennedy?
Yes, uh, I'm working on a series called Texas Rangers. Uh, the fourth one has been published last week. It's a special series because last year the Texas Rangers, they are still existing, last year. They had their 200 years of celebration, and I wrote a series with various ranges, but from the beginning, when Texas still was a Mexican province and they fought for their independence. So the next one I'm writing now will be about the Battle of the Alamo, which is a very important historical event. This is what
So,
I'm writing currently, and
mhm.
there is also another series which will be brand new. It's called Pathfinders. So I developed the idea of famous mountain men, adventurers, and explorers, and we are working at the moment on the first book in this series about Jedediah Smith.
So why Western? Or do you have other genres that you also working on? Or do you actually particularly focus mainly on West?
In all those 44 years, I have written everything from crime, from action, science fiction and fantasy, horror, even love and romance. But this was more than 20 years ago. But the books are still selling, and these were also published in different European countries. But this long time ago. Currently, at the moment, only westerns because this was the kind of literature I grew up with. And this is what I love the most. In England, my good friend Ben Bridges writes westerns for nearly the same time as I do, and he's writing good westerns. In Norway, there was an author called Kjell Halving. He wrote westerns uh, of a US Marshal called Morgan Kane, and they were hugely successful in the whole Scandinavian area. So you see, even Australia had a Western market. They had a publishing company who closed down 2 years ago, and they were working since end of the 50s.
So when you're writing your books, let's say the scene, one of the scenes, have you ever traveled to one of those and then you write them? You have not.
First, I'm doing historical researches. At my time, when I started to write, there was no internet, so I had
Oh,
always
yes.
to order books from USA, and it took them quite a long time till they arrived at my place. Now you can look and research everything everywhere in the
Mhm.
internet. And so I must have a clear picture in my mind how the land looks like, how the town looks like, how even the characters look like. And then I make a structure of about 2 or 3 pages, how the story will develop. And when this is finished, I start to write. And I do not change this storyline. So uh, the whole storyline is already constructed. I just have to fill it with life.
When you write, you say a busy man, so you have your other jobs and then you also have your writing stuff that you do with your books. How do you manage to do those every day?
You will be very surprised. I'm a retired salesman since last year. I'm turning 68 in May. But all these 200 books I've written always in my leisure time. I did my sales job during the day and I wrote in the evening each day. Also on the weekends, it worked. And as I'm retired now and work only part time for my old company, I have more time to write. So I can say I can increase my production. And Nick understood this message and he keeps me occupied, believe me.
Now that we're gonna be having a more projects coming from you, since you are now, you say you retired, so you have more time and more focus on new projects that you have coming on.
Yes, of course. Well, Nick wants the continuation of Kennedy as long as it sells. And I have quite a few ideas. We have three. Then I will work on the fourth. And we could at least have a dozen. And if these dozens still selling, well, then we will have 24. Then we have 30, maybe also 50. I do not know. But it always takes some time.
Is there some plans for the future for Kennedy where he's gonna have a collab with other authors?
I do not know.
Like an is like an already an existing book in the same universe.
In the Kennedy storyline, I included I mentioned timber, And I included also a ranch family in the third book, uh, a family with the name of Calhoun, who helped Kennedy on his escape from prison. And this Calhoun family are characters of my series Rio Concho, which is in planning in the future. So I always create a universe where
Mm.
some characters have guest appearances, one in the other. So my experience in Germany says that the readers like that.
It's always better to plant and then have all those roots spread out
Yeah, of course.
for a
It's
vast
like
story.
it's like in the Marvel comics. You read a Spider-Man
Oh,
novel
yes.
and then you see a footnote. If you want to see how it continues, read Hulk number 237. It's comparable with what I'm doing.
So yeah, it's kind of like a West version of Marvels, basically.
Could be, yes.
Have you had success before, or this is your when you were finally with DSP, have you had a much more successes than you had?
In Germany, my name is known. I'm one of the only Western writers who are still publishing new novels. So after all these years, the people know what they get when they buy a book from me. I'm always selling books about what I'm looking always for unique selling points. Therefore, I created this Texas Rangers series, which is published in Germany, and now DSP has the American rights. This is the only series about Texas Rangers in that early period of time. So that's a unique selling point. I also wrote a series about the Civil War, about a small unit of Confederate soldiers who are risking and carrying out jobs behind the enemy lines. And the lieutenant who is leading that small troop will go after the end of the Civil War to the Calhoun family ranch in Texas and will become their foreman. So everything is somehow connected together.
And then everything just plays out
Yeah,
how it's supposed to.
I'm open to any new ideas. I cannot say what will happen next year or the year after next year. I'm always flexible as far as ideas and, 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 and things are concerned. I just want to sell, and DSP helps me to sell. And I think that's a very crucial point if you get support by DSP, which I really have, because you're good on social media. You're on Facebook, you're on Instagram, on TikTok, on YouTube. And I see that you get your readers from there. And it was very hard at the beginning that my name becomes known also outside of Germany. But I guess now I'm on a good way.
It's better now than it is before, where your name and your work can be spread out in the entire world basically by the click of your phone.
Yes, of
So, which is
course.
very, very, very accessible to find new readers, people that will love your books and stick to it to the very end.
Yeah. And what is always fascinating, if I have an idea, I offer this idea DSP. Even on the same day I get an answer, on the next day I get a title cover, and as soon as a novel is ready, it is published. So everything happens within a month.
Oh, he is. And Kevin pretty much does his covers really quick, and he's
Yeah.
very good at
He,
it.
he did already the first cover of his new Pathfinder series. I've seen it and it was amazing.
That is really great.
Yeah.
So we're gonna be having some new projects from you that's coming out this month or next month.
We have the third Kennedy, which will be finished this month. We will have the first Pathfinder novel about Jedediah Smith. Uh, Nick wants to publish his next week, so Todd has to hurry. Then we'll have the Alamo novel about the Texas Rangers. Then I had a very good friend in Germany, a fellow writer who is called Dietmar Kügler. He died 2 years ago, and he was my mentor from the day when I started to write. And now we will reissue his mountain novels also with DSP. and I'll be a supporter of him like he supported me. And I think it's important to carry on his legacy because before people forget his name. So we are publishing these novels under the name John Gray. He wrote westerns in Germany under this name many years ago, and we will do that for his series will West Wind. He wrote 6 novels in this series, and I'll be his co-writer in that books. And the first 2 have been edited and will get new covers. I guess if I think about all this, I'd like to see how a 24 working day can change into 48 hours working day. So I will be busy, I guess.
That was gonna be a very busy month for you then.
Yes, yes, but that's what I wanted to always have. Yeah, I always had the dream from early childhood. I wanted to be known in America. Now this dream has become a reality, so everything is okay.
It might have taken a long time, but here you are.
Yes, and I thank you very much for all those people who are involved.
Okay, so have you had some authors in mind that you would probably be open to call up in the future?
The Western market was very big in Germany about 20 or 30 years ago. Now it's a niche, and there are
Mm.
only very few ones who still write Westerns. And at the moment, we are talking about the novels of my friend Dietmar. He has written about 200 Westerns also during the last 40 years, and we're trying to get them published by DSP, and if they are selling successfully, I will keep my eyes open for other authors because you can't have enough westerns, and translation is easy nowadays, so everything can be realized.
So do you have any particular author do you have in mind from DSP? Or is that a secret for now?
Let me think about that. Not yet at the moment. There are a few authors who should be published in Germany because they are good ones. Why shouldn't they be published in German language?
Then maybe let them revive the whole West genre in Germany then.
Yes, could be so because at the moment there is near we had a series of paperbacks in the 70s and 80s by the German Department of Random House, and they published 4 Western paperbacks each month, but from famous Western authors, from Elmer Kelton, from George Sherman, from Will Henry, the great ones of the Western literature. And at the moment, we have not much American Western writers who are translated and published in Germany. So I think DSP has enough authors so that they could cross the ocean to be published over here in Germany. Because we have not only Germany, we have Austria and we have Switzerland, where they also speak German.
So how do you write your books? That's I also um I interviewed some of the authors, especially one of our female authors. Um, do you write your scenarios where you have a big event and then you write backwards and fill in the gaps to
No,
where it
no,
goes to?
never, never, never. The storyline exists, and then I'm writing storyline from one to the other, to the third, to the fourth, but never in between. I never write the last chapter, write the third, the first, or the seventh, and then when I'm ready, combine it in a way. I cannot do that. I just have a job to do. I have the script and I write a novel. And when the novel is finished, I send it to the publisher, and tomorrow I begin with the next.
I have interviewed so many authors now that I can actually see how unique each authors are of how they write their books. There's one that helps him write his books where he can up very early in the morning at 6 a.m. write his books. Or another one that is very frustrated and he wrote out frustration.
Well, in the I see me as a salesman, and I'm doing everything to sell. I have no official working hours. Normally, uh, now I get up to doing my sales jobs and then let's say start at 10 or 11 in the morning. There are also 2 days in a week where I'm out visiting customers, but then my intention is to write 2,000 words each day. Sometimes it's 1,500, but 2,000 are better. So I'm writing the first 500, make a short break, continue the next 500, and then when I have reached 1,500, which is normally should be finished at 1 p.m., then I have the rest of 500 words in the afternoon or in the evening hours, and then I have my 2,000 words. But I can also stop in the middle of the sentence and can continue tomorrow.
So, what are your thoughts on the Western, weird Western?
Uh, we had a few ones in Germany, but they were always with zombies or creatures and stuff like that. In my opinion, it is difficult, but if you're writing a weird Western in a style of Stephen King, then it would work, I guess.
It could
I'm,
work.
I'm, not, I'm not a fan of monsters or creatures or anything, but I find it more thrilling if you see a house and you see the door is open and you know exactly there is something behind it, but you don't see it, but you feel how you get threatened by that. This is
hmm
would be interesting.
Yeah, we have a few authors that have been doing weird Western. Especially Marcus did a very successful job
Uh,
about his new book Jericho. Have you
wh-
thought
wh-
about making some?
I need to be asked. Yeah, and then I will think about the concept and well, why not? I've written about 3 years ago a Western which was called America 2200. And it was like the Mad Max movie. And this was fun for me. And I also know, do you know who James Axler is? He wrote a series in the USA called Deathlands. So it's in a post-apocalyptic war, a group of people are fighting for their lives while traveling from east to west and from north to south in the USA. Let's say it's a western, but with weird elements and a little bit of postmodern civilization. This would be very interesting.
It is because now people, some, especially the new generations, they
Yeah.
always like something that is very unique that they have not been one of your typical books that they've been seeing online so far. So they're
Mhm.
always open to something very, very unique or weird ideas.
Yes, of course. I wrote also a modern Western, which is called Red Rock Ranch. DSP has number one already on the market. Book two is in the production process because I wanted to connect the Yellowstone fans who watched this series. I wanted to read them something similar, and the characters which I have in these books are really 100% similar to those characters in the TV series.
Very good.
So this is also possible.
It is. There's always a possibility of something.
There is so much room to develop new ideas or to create new series, and I'm open to everything.
There is always a possibility that things that you have not thought of before you will think about it in the future.
Yes, of course, because I have to grow when I write. I've gotten used to the fact that I never say never. During a writing process, sometimes I have an idea of, well, you haven't thought about this. What would it be if I think about the developing of a storyline in that direction or in that direction? Everything is possible.
I've also asked some of the authors, have you ever experienced or do you believe in a writer's block?
I know that this is existing, but I never had any.
Like you don't know how to proceed with certain scenarios.
This never happened in my life. I have a goal before my eyes. I say this book has to be finished on a certain date, and then I have to follow that line. there is no time to think about writer's blocks. I'm lucky that I never had any, but I guess it would be cruel to anyone if he falls into this writer's block and cannot continue for days or even weeks. But my production schedule is so heavy now, I really do not have the time to think about writer's blocks or anything like that. Consider me lucky.
So every scenarios and every plots that you have in mind, you always write them down.
Yes, definitely. I do not change any storyline. Maybe I add a few things, but the storyline is existing from the beginning.
So it's already like predetermined.
Yes, yes, of course. I do not consider myself as an artist. I just a worker and I have a job to fill.
So do you have any advice on our younger authors and people that wanted to be an author?
There are a few advices. I would say from my personal experience, read a lot. Read as many books as you can. If you want to write, you definitely have to know what's on the market currently, what is selling, how the sales ranks are, and then try to write something like this. And you always dream and wish that this book wants to be finished, and believe in yourself and into your own strength that you are able to do this job. Don't let you distract from other people or from friends or relatives who are not in the book business. Do your own job and do it the best you can. This would be my advice.
Very good. That is a very good advice, you guys.
Yeah.
So you better take those advices from our authors, and maybe one day you'll be one of those top authors in every other genre.
Well, if I could do that after 44 years, others could do that too. They just have to be strong and absolutely believe in what they want to do and what they can do. That is no secret. You just have to do that.
As long as you're determined and not start and then at the end of it or like in the middle of it, stop.
Wouldn't be good.
So is there anything else do you want to tell us? Do you want to tell the viewers any upcoming or existing books, or do you want to promote?
I just want to tell that DSP is a very good company, and I feel lucky to be among the team. And it's just the right company where dreams can become true if you work hard, believe in yourself, and I thank you so much to all those people at DSP that you accept me as a family member, and I'm very proud of that. And I would like to continue and give the best I can. That's my final word.
Thank you very much. And DSP is always happy to have Alfred Wallon as one of his best authors. So
Thank you for
thank
that.
you so much for your time, Alfred. I know you're gonna have more books to write now.
I
So
think
I'm
so,
gonna leave
yes.
you to your business. So thank you for your time. And maybe in the future we're gonna have more interviews for your
Yeah,
new projects in the future
yeah.
and more success.
So hope to hear and see from you again soon. And bye for now.
Now, you guys, as you can see, he's a very nice person. What a very good advice. Or one of our successful authors, Alfred Wallon. So don't forget to get one of his books, Kennedy U.S. Marshall series. If you have not read any of the Kennedy series, links on the description below. Start reading Kennedy U.S. Marshall and his other titles on Amazon. For more news and interviews from our authors, don't forget to like and subscribe for our channel down below. And don't forget to click notification button. And we'll see you guys next time.